Okay, this is a voice-over video where I'm showing you the process of creating a lighting setup for this scene. And at the same time, I want to demonstrate to you how I use the Light Wrangler and how I use the upcoming Snapshot add-on. Okay, here we have our plain gray default background lighting, and of course it's not what we want. I usually use, first of all, add a 360 HDRI environment to any shot in order to create more realism to it, but I am not using it at a full blast, so it's a subtle light that helps me create an interesting details, on top of which I'm layering those uniform, beautiful, soft studio lighting. So here I've added an HDRI image, and in order to rotate it, I'm not creating a node setup manually, because Light Wrangler allows you to automatically create necessary node setup as soon as you use HDRI rotation feature, which actually works by Alt button and right mouse drag in the viewport. You see it automatically created a necessary nodes to rotate the map. So I'm trying to come up with a kind of a rim lighting or something that will highlight the shape of the object. Sometimes I'm switching to Eevee because I'm using CPU rendering and it's quite slow and not responsive in cycles. So in order to be able to rotate the map and see the result interactively, I need to switch to Eevee. So like this, I like how it looks, and now I will use the trick that I often use by duplicating the HDRI environment and rotating it at a different angle to create the lighting that I need. So basically I'm mixing same images here, but they will be rotated at a different angle. Trying to come up with interesting lighting. And also I usually desaturate my world environment a bit, because it usually consists of some different colors that I don't need in my scene that much, so I desaturate a bit. And also I decrease the brightness, of course, to create a subtle effect. I think I like what I'm seeing right now, and now it's time to demonstrate to you the snapshot add-on. Let's create our first snapshot. Right from the N panel, we create in a snapshot that captures the current lighting, similar how in photography you would just shoot a shot in order to preserve this stage and be able to compare different stages later. Here I'm adding my first light with the Light Wrangler, interactive positioning, and first of all I want to highlight this upper band of our watches, or watch, I don't know, watches or watch in English. In order to make our light not visible to camera, I'm bringing back the HUD panel to refresh the memory and recall that the shortcut for hiding the light is V for visibility. I'm hiding the light so it won't distract me, and I'm trying to come up with a decent angle here to highlight the shape, using the orbiting mode here to fine-tune the position. Okay, here I'm duplicating the same light and moving it to the different position to highlight the bottom part of the band. Hitting I to isolate the current light to see its effect in isolation. Cranking up intensity. Here I'm switching to the false color mode using F shortcut. That helps me to match the exposure levels of the top and bottom lights By the way, here I'm using the Light Wrangler custom false color mode that provides more gradations to this fake color map, and also trying to come up with the right angle. Saving the next snapshot, and right away on the snapshot I'm seeing that the bottom part is more bright than the upper part, so I want to decrease brightness a bit. I really like how they implemented this exposure slider. It allows to control brightness. More convenient rather than tweaking the power directly. Saving the next snapshot. And now we have our snapshots. Here I'm going to the snapshot result area where we can compare our snapshots side by side. Something like we can do in the Lightroom or Capture One software. We can compare snapshots side by side, switch them to the left, to the right, and I see that actually need something in between. The left one is too bright and the right one is too dim, so I'm increasing the exposure a bit and saving the next snapshot. You see, guys, how it allows you to evolve the lighting without being afraid to lose each step, and without needing to manually restore or using Control Z to restore lighting. It's actually pretty convenient. You can preview your image in black and white to evaluate brightness levels. I like this particular option, but for example, if I would prefer the previous one, I would be able to simply restore the necessary snapshot by clicking it, and you see it automatically restores it in the viewport as well. We can switch between different snapshots if we need. Here I actually like the latest one, so I bringing it back. And here I'm thinking that now it's the time to highlight the right part of the watch. Hit I to isolate the light, and sometimes if you are not able to precisely place the light at the right angle, it's actually because it averages some neighboring normals, and we hit space to toggle precise mode, which allows to easily place at the exact angle we need place the light. So we're saving the next snapshot and comparing what we got before and what we got now. It's much better, but I see that the light is too bright, so we need to decrease brightness. In order to add a light that will be roughly the shape of the object, you can select the object, and then when you add in a light, you hold Shift button and it automatically creates the light that will roughly match the size of the object and also placed at the distance that matches the diameter of the selected object or objects. Here I'm trying to brighten the face of the watch. I'm adding a feathering to the light. You can see the interactive screen preview on the light customization panel. Again, isolating the light, hitting the I button and tweaking the brightness using mouse wheel. First I thought that it looks quite good, but then I noticed this bright highlight on the glass, which is inappropriate, of course. But I'm saving the snapshot to be able to compare this particular position of the light with the next one, where the light will be facing straight to the glass face. Here I'm trying to create a gradient, an additional gradient to the screen, and lowering the exposure because it obviously was too bright. Saving the next snapshot, and now we will compare the previous one and the current one. You see, on the previous one there was that horrible highlight on the glass that looked just horrible, but this one looks quite well. Adding the next light to brighten up the background, placing it at an angle to create a gradient, a fall off. And you see I chose the red color, deep red color for our background because I think it complements the gold color of our watch. So it adds an additional color to the scene without making it too playful. Here I'm showing how you can change the layout of the end panel for the snapshot. Okay, and here's the comparison with and without the background. We need to increase brightness for sure to make the background more bright. Saving the next snapshot, because why not? We can compare. It's very convenient. Much better now. Now for the light that we used to highlight this right part of the watch. Basically it's a rim light. I want to create an interesting effect by using the color that will complement the red background. So I'm choosing this color and trying to come up with the complementary color for this light. Okay, now it's too dark, obviously. Saving our next snapshot and comparing how it looked before and after. I see that it looks interesting, but a little bit too much, and I want to tweak a color a bit, basically make it less saturated. Simply tweaking the exposure basically desaturates the color, but I also want to desaturate it more. Here I'm trying to maybe tweak the hue, but actually the initial hue was quite fine. And now I eventually realized that I need to desaturate it to make it less cheesy. And here we're comparing before and after. I think it's fine. It looks fine. Basically, I want to add an additional light to the background, to the bottom right corner, using the same color, the same blue color, to create more interesting look. Saving our next snapshot as usual. Once I start working with this snapshot add-on, it's actually became obvious to me that is a really must-have tool, at least for me and for anyone who cares about the lighting, because lighting is really about push and pull, and without be able to conveniently save intermediate steps, and compare them, it's much harder to get the best result. To me, it looks still too bright. The blue background light still looks too bright, so I'm decreasing it a bit. And here I'm trying to experiment a bit with the main light that we used to brighten up the background. And instead of using a screen light, I'm trying to choose an appropriate HDRI projection image. Browsing the catalog for inspiration and eventually landing on this original studio HDRI's collection and using this zigzaggy light pattern, increasing the beam shape to make the contours less pronounced, and changing the position of the light. I'm not afraid to do it because I know that I will be able to restore all the lighting with my snapshot system. So saving the next snapshot, capturing the current state, and let's compare how it looks now with the HDRI background lighting and our default normal lighting. The first one looks more clean, the second one looks more dramatic, so I'm giving a start to each of one and promoting them to the next round, so other snapshots won't distract us. They both look fine, I guess, but I believe I decided to proceed with the first one, which is less dramatic and more clean. Here I'm restoring the lighting just by clicking on the relevant snapshot and all the lights being restored. Here I'm using isolation feature to toggle between lights just by clicking them in the outliner to preview the effect of each of them. And I think that this front light could be tweaked a bit. I'm changing the position and the power, or it's not the power, it's just power. Okay, English language is quite hard. Saving a snapshot once again. Promote them to the next round number 3. Which one do you like more? I think the right one is better, but it's a bit too bright, so we need to decrease the exposure. And I believe this would be the final setting for this particular light. Oh yeah, here's a great idea to make it warmer, to highlight the gold color of the body, and also it helps decrease the brightness of the dial a bit. Yeah, I definitely like how the warmer front light works here, but I also think that the dial itself should be a little bit brighter. But here I'm trying to compare how it looks with depth of field enabled for the camera, and of course it looks much better. Yeah, I think the dial is too dim, so we definitely need to brighten it up a bit. And here we will use a trick where we add in our light holding shift button to make it the appropriate size right away. And here we use light linking, hitting L to link the light to the gloss part, so it only will affect the gloss and the dial behind the glass, but it won't add an additional light to other parts of the watch. Okay, I think it is time to save another snapshot, and you see how it became much better with this brightened dial. I decided to decrease the exposure a bit to make it more balanced with the rest of the image. Make the dial more balanced. Yeah, you see it, the difference is subtle, but definitely it's much better. So everything is fine, except that this little diamond need more attention, so we're creating a dedicated light for it. Again, holding shift, we're able to create the appropriate size light right away. And here we're using light linking to link the light directly to our diamond, manually searching for an appropriate angle and tweaking brightness. Using Ctrl B to isolate a small part of the viewport to speed up rendering. Saving our snapshot, and here you see that now we have our diamond highlighted. And right from here we should be able to render our selected snapshot, but there is a bug in the in the add-on, so I can't do it right now, but I will certainly fix this bug. Okay, now I eventually was able to hit the render winner button, and right here I'm switching to the render result area, and after that my Blender crashed and I wasn't able to finish the render. So here I'm showing different render of the same scene with a slightly different lighting.